Oh, thanks. Yeah, it was just I've been coloring all day, so I had to do like just some quick sketches to get my brain back into drawing mode, coloring and lettering and all that other stuff. I don't know who Mark from G-Force is, but I'm willing to, look it up, give it a shot. I'm assuming it's one of the team. I never watched G-Force. Ah, it's the main character guy. Yeah, honestly, I think I've only ever read a couple of G-Force comics. Didn't I think Alex Ross did like some of the Top Cow stuff? Ken, like in the description, this is the um, sketch relief. And what we do is I take down and do sketches for anybody who is working on the front lines as a job that, has you going out there every day. Or if you've lost a gig or going through depression, if you've been sick, it's really just like a pandemic support thing. So that's if you're going through something, I'm happy to take a request. I can usually get about 15 done, and this is our third one. So uh, Mike Moran, and just like last time, if there are new folks, I may bump people down just to make sure new people get sketches. I've also got some pretty cool toned paper that I'm going to do with a character. Um, Kate Bishop, Ashley. Hey, Jonathan. Good to see you, man. Hope you're staying safe in there, just up the road. I suppose it is Friday, but we're all kind of just working through the weeks or weekends. I don't really, uh, Friday doesn't have the weight that it once had. And this week I was actually going to be in Ohio originally for Gem City Comic Con, but that has been canceled for this year, like many shows. For anybody that hasn't been to Gem City, it's out in Ohio, and it's a smaller show by comparison to like New York, San Diego, but it is 100% comics, and the folks that run it are really, really great, and it's just got a really awesome like artist comics only vibe. I know there's a lot of pop culture shows. Yeah, we're doing okay, Jonathan. It's running longer than I think anyone would prefer. So people are getting a little stir crazy, but that's okay. I don't know if G-Force would be appropriate for this tone. I actually have one that's like a light blue that I could use. That might work. Yeah, absolutely, Paul. I would be happy to. Nightwing. Now you're gonna have to tell me. Do you want like the '70s disco era Nightwing or the like more modern Nightwing? Oh, you're very welcome, Mike. I'm glad that it makes people happy at least a little bit, and I have fun talking and connecting with people because I end up spending the entire day just staring at like today I spent the entire day staring at my computer screen completely by myself for the most part. My choice. Well, it may be the disco era. Um, Hey, brother, wanted to say hello. Josh, I'm very sorry to hear that. You have my condolences and thank you for stopping in. And I hope that I'll see you again soon. So I hope you have a nice evening. James, how this works is if you've been affected by the pandemic, or in the case of I believe Paul, if you want to, if you know someone that you would like to get a sketch for, like whether it's a frontline worker or someone who's lost their job or someone who's been sick, you just suggest you tell me which character you want. I get to as many as I can in the evening, and I finished the rest off at night. Last time I wasn't feeling so good, so I only got 4 or 5 done during the stream. But as you saw when I did the post, I got all 15 done, and that'll probably be similar to what happens. I'm feeling better tonight. I got a lot of decent work done, and it was mostly coloring today, so hopefully I haven't completely lost all of my gusto, as it were. And it's Friday, right? It's Friday. I'm just holding off a little bit to see if there's any more folks jumping on, because I don't want to miss any. Apparently I missed a request at some point, and I didn't mean to, but I just was not looking at the screen when I should have been. Hey, thanks, Jason. Hey, Charlie, I'm doing okay. We're all dealing with what's going on. I don't draw anime so well, so it may not look. I'm very glad to hear that, Jason. That's what we're going for. Something nice, something fun. All the conventions getting canceled, all the people losing their work, all the there's a lot of stuff going on. It's not fun, so we'll try to at least have some fun. Oh, thanks, James. Glad to hear you're hanging in there. You got your gig, you got your health. That's what we like to hear. That's what we want people to have. That's good news. That is good news. I really appreciate good news, even more so these days. Like my buddy Wally just had his wife just gave birth to their first kiddo. I was very happy to see that on the Facebooks. Yeah, that was definitely the last show I've done. A lot of people, and I like that show. It's a nice little show, good vibe, good people. Toothless. Is that a thing? Hey Jessica, best to Ryan. Hope he's feeling better. I'm not sure what toothless is. I'm again gonna have to Google that. That's great to hear, Ashley, that you got some excellent customers. I don't know if you guys are doing mail orders. Some stores are doing that, and there's some states where they're doing like curbside pickup. Did I miss one? Oh, Karen McPhee. I don't know what toothless is. I will have to look it up. Oh, How to Train Your Dragon. Gotcha. Gotcha. Okay. I've only seen the first one of those. That was a little while ago. It was fun. Fun little movie. I've been working on this deadline for this comic, so I haven't gotten to really watch much in the way of movies lately. I'm lucky in that respect, I suppose. Still stressful, especially when you're trying to deal with going out for grocery store runs and that kind of stuff. Your wife just got back to work today. That's great. I'm very happy for her. And my brush pens have kind of decided to run out of ink at this point, so some of the drawing might be a little slower if I have to use just regular brush, but you'll get to watch how I usually ink like a comic page or whatever. I think I've drawn G-Force once before. Oh, hey, Jerry. How you doing? That is good news, Jason. People getting back to work is a good thing. It's an interesting design, I gotta say. Let's see. Middle of the face is the bridge of the nose there. Helmet's actually got to go up some. Yeah, it's a cool design. You know, I can't say, you know, it's got kind of like a futuristic Hawkman kind of feel to it, I guess. Anytime I get bogged down by reference, I tend to move a little slower too. So once I get kind of the gist of it, I'll probably just go more with my style. Oh, I'd be happy to, Anthony. Yeah, for sure. For a nurse, of course. Oh, thanks very much, Jason. Thank you. I just try, like I said in my message back to you, I just try not to screw it up. It's such a graphically strong design. A lot of that Bruce Timm stuff is, and if you try to add too much detail to it, I think it loses its strength as a design. I know that DC has tried to do a couple different versions of like more realistic, quote unquote, versions of Batman Beyond, but I just think that sometimes you gotta, the style is definitely part of the design. Oh, it's my pleasure, Anthony. I mean, a nurse, they're dealing with stuff that I can't even imagine right now. Let's see if there's a straight on shot that I can use. Oh, okay, they simplify it that way. Gotcha. Yeah, I agree. They add too much muscle, too much unnecessary detail. And I'm a guy that tends to overcomplicate stuff regularly and add too much garbage to a drawing. Like I would say, I muck up a drawing as well as pretty much anybody. But for like those Bruce Timm designs, when I had to do the style guide study for the Batman TMNT Animated Adventures cover, they said stick as close as you can to the Bruce Timm stuff, and I'd never drawn anything like that, and really like forcing myself to study those designs. Really, I mean, it. Whenever I get one of those style guides, I'm always just completely amazed at the level of just design prowess that goes into those, like the TMNT series for that they did animated adventures for. Like it's honestly like the designs are just so good because they're designed with so many different crutches in mind. And I know that this is something that people probably don't think about, but like joints, fingers, feet, hands, like there's all kinds of places that are like trouble areas for most artists, including myself. I'm not leaving myself out of this. Um, and they had crutches like built in, like they put tape in places that are hard to draw. They put, exaggerations where things, are hard to draw. Like they just did an amazing job just thinking ahead of having artists that may not be as good as the designer, like myself, um, coming in and having to figure it out. Like the shapes are just so well communicated. My friend Daryl likes G-Force. Maybe he'll see this. Have I missed any of the requests? I don't think so. I think everybody's been on Facebook too, so I think we're good. And if I'm looking down and I miss your request and you don't see me write it down, just, Kevin, I'm actually going to stop at the office tomorrow. I have to go and pick up a check and I have to print out stuff and I have to get stuff off my computer um, for the coloring that I'm doing right now. So I will be there for a little bit tomorrow. I think that is, I will try to line up my trip over for when the deliveries usually get there. It's usually late morning. So I will try to get there around then. No, I will get there around then because it's just up the street. Right. I think I've got most of the design except for whatever that logo is on his chest. Oh, no worries. No apologies necessary at all, of course. See, I wish I found that shot because that would be closer to the angle that I'm doing. I'm not going to get the whole logo in there. You get the gist. I actually didn't draw him on the stream, Jason. He was one of the ones that I did after the fact when I was sitting at my kitchen table. Sometimes it's just easier to do stuff then. Light source. We're gonna have it be kind of overhead. That's one of the things that's actually been kind of cool about these about the everybody being stuck at home is that everybody's been able to do these sketching and drawing from home. Like Aaron Lepresti and Dave Johnson and Sean Forney does his morning warm up sketches on Restream just like this. Dylan Andrews does them. Oh, I'm gonna have to see that, Kevin. I'm gonna have to see the Ken Lashley Ocean Master because I'm a huge fan of both of those things. And Ken, I got to sit across from at Boston a couple years ago, and he was just the nicest guy. You know, I used to collect comics he did when I was a kid. I actually had an issue, and this is one of those things where like you never know what somebody's going to bring you to sign or anything else. I've actually had a book signed by Ken Lashley that my parents bought for me with like a COA. It was like an Exiles X-Men crossover, and he had signed it back in the '90s, and I took it. Um, I love watching the artists draw. Like I do it all the time at conventions whenever they're hanging out. Like if I don't have a commission to do or a panel I'm on or whatever, and if I'm sitting next to Nate or Daryl or or Chris, I am absolutely watching. I'm actually going to get my brush. This is just a Princeton #2. They're fairly inexpensive. Got my Black Star mat with the googly eyes. But I'll finish my Ken Lashley ramble. I took the book over to him and I just asked him to personalize it because I'd had it since I was a kid and I wasn't planning on selling it at any point, so I just had him personalize. I'm sure it ruins the resale value or the certificate of authenticity or whatever that came with it, but and I think most artists are cool with people watching them work at conventions. I mean, I'm sure I get a little leeway from some people just because I'm one of the other artists. Maybe they'd be nervous to be like, "Oh, don't watch, don't watch me draw." Maybe they'd think I would say they're a jerk or something, which I would never do in a million years. But maybe I do get a little leeway that I'm not taking into account. So it's always polite to ask, but I don't think I've ever had someone say, because they're at a con and it's a public event. What books am I working on now? I'm working on books that are not famous by any stretch of the imagination. We're trying to get some more Tick stuff going, but that's just been slow because if people don't know, the Tick is published by a comic book store, and with the stores all closed, it's tough to get that stuff going. But I'm working on a book right now for the Boston Red Sox, actually, and even though I know that the baseball is like currently on hiatus, they still have us working on all the different behind the scenes stuff. So we did the Wally and Tessie books last year, and this year we're doing something a little different. I don't think they've announced it, so I can't say what book or what the project is yet. But I spent the whole day working on colors and lettering. I mean, I also grew up in the era of watching Bob Ross, so I've just always liked watching artists do their thing. Even if it's not a picture or a character that I'm crazy about, it's just cool to watch the thought process. Now, because this is like an anime, I'm simplifying the line art a little bit because normally I would just be all over the place with like. I actually don't think there should be a chin line. Oh, there's no chin line. What's the plan on the con books you've been doing? I mean, obviously, with no conventions, we're not doing any books for those conventions. The altered reality ones that are still on the schedule are publicly they are Rhode Island and Colorado Springs, and they postponed TerraCon. So we actually had a really fun book idea for TerraCon this year, but obviously, hopefully we'll be able to just do it for next year. If you saw the poster, they're like little monsters, and it's much more cartoony version, like book. Cute little monsters running around. I've only ever been called impatient by one creator, and I'm actually curious. I'll ask you offline. I'm wondering if it's the same guy. He has a reputation, but sometimes everybody has a bad day at a convention. But I can't see you being overbearing or pushy in any way, so I don't know why they would get. Yeah. I do know they're using the convention center for the support right now, but as we know, we hope that this isn't required to go on for longer than necessary. Obviously, if any of the shows post anything, I'll share it to the page or let people know. As far as I know, the plan is everything's still going forward. So. That's all I know. All I know is that they're still moving forward because I think that's what most people want to do, and everybody kind of wants to just move forward. And I appreciate, James, that you're one of the folks that bought the comics and read them and had questions, and it's always really good to talk about the books themselves with folks that enjoy reading them. I will reiterate, though, I'm not very high in the pecking order, so a lot of the times I hear things the same time as they post them on the official Facebook page or the websites or whatever. This paper is not very forgiving. I was actually just looking at a book that I had signed at the last Empire State Con. I was hanging out with Paris Collins. I don't know. I think I might have it right here. Maybe. It's over in another box. But actually, the promoter, Steve Perry, was on the Angry Geeks Show podcast, and he gave an update recently. I think it was this week, just saying the same thing that I just said, basically, that everything's still going forward. They got new guests. They announced Mark Silvestri for. You may still have Boston or Mohegan. Are you attending any of those? I've never done Mohegan, and I haven't heard from Boston. I have no idea. It's so hard to commit to anything at this point. I can commit to. Thanks, Jason. This one's a little bit more. I would say, kind of stiff for me, just because I'm just trying to get the kind of the likeness down of what the character looks like. Characters that I do know I can have more fun with, and I can move them around. And one thing I am going to do is actually use a grayscale to outline the glass. I'm going to see if that creates like a cool effect. People tell me Mohegan's a great show. That's very nice of you, Karen. Thank you. I like the old school comic show. What is it? The Little Giant one? Is that it? The Little Giant old school comic show. I did the first one. It was great. The only problem was that it was the same day as Gem City, and Gem City is in Ohio. And when I do Gem City, I visit my parents. When you can link up work with a convention to help cover your costs to go visit your folks, it's a really nice thing for me. And I really like the show. Great people, and Jason and Jesse are in different parts of the country, so there's no reason for them to, you know, uh, check each other's dates because they're so far apart. I'm in such the minority that I travel all the way out there for that show whenever I can get a spot there. I watched a little Speed Racer back in the day. My old man liked Speed Racer as a kid, so. trying to simplify it so it has more of that animation vibe rather than my usual mess that you see drawings have. Like I was talking about with the Bruce Timm stuff earlier, I just try to get out of the way of the design when people ask for some of these stuff because they much prefer the design to whatever my interpretation of it is. Yeah, I mean, if RI happens, I'll be there. It's just up the street. And it's an easy one for me. As it stands now, at least. I'm going to use I think I'll use this one. We'll see we'll see. Hopefully it happens. It's all the way out in November. So fingers crossed that things get better for lots and lots of people and we can have some fun. All right, I think now we can erase the excessive stuff. I have no idea. They very well may be, but it's again just hoping that things get better for a lot of people. Unfortunately, I ran out of jelly beans. I usually have some bad for me candy while I'm working on this stuff. A little sugar, keeps you up. Yeah, I mean it's interesting because you have a similar gig as to a buddy of mine working for the city of Boston though, and we've talked about some of the troubles that are occurring during some of the special circumstances, I guess we'll say, that are occurring. Just clean that off. Okie dokie. Well, we got a little ways to go. We're working our way through it. Remember, our light source is coming from kind of up here, so we're actually going to bring Beak Cast Shadow down like this. Actually, that's a tough thing for me. My drawings are usually a mess, so trying to keep it clean and nice for folk that like this character. I don't know. I just always seem to mess it up or feel the need to. I don't know. I like the energy of a lot of lines and stuff. And I'm sorry you had a rough week this week, man. Yeah, wipes or rubber gloves or t-shirts cut up. I've heard the horror stories. I feel like it needs like an outer space background, so we'll get the old sponge out, let that dry, and then we'll use our white, and then we'll be done with this one. We'll get on to Kate Bishop. I think I've only drawn her once before. I did see that my art supply store will be doing curbside pickup starting soon, and I will be needing to order some art supplies from them. This is just a regular ordinary artist sponge. It's a natural sea sponge. I like the edges it gets and the texture, so I try to stick to like simple rules of three on my background. And one of the tricks is you don't want it to look like splotches. You want it to look like space. So you have to, if you go for it, you kind of got to commit to the texture. You can't kind of do it halfway. And then you got to look at it upside down. I think that's pretty much do it for that. Yeah, and it's just visually interesting. My buddy Joe St. Pierre uses actually like a screen from a window and puts ink through it and gets a really cool texture that way. It really just finding different ways to put ink on paper is a way that different artists differentiate themselves. I'm not saying using a sponge is wholly original, but I don't see a ton of folks using it in this context. Let's see if I can get a little spatter on there for some stars. One of my older brushes. There we go. This is bleed proof white. You can get it at Michael's or any online. Yeah, there's different ways to do the flicks. I'm actually going to use one of them now, which I prefer because I think you have greater control on the size of the dots and the frequency of the dots, usually. And what's kind of cool is that this paper is just slightly off-white, so you can go in and just add a little bit, highlight in a few spots. Thanks, Mike. Joe just did an unboxing for his Kickstarter. I know it doesn't make sense, but I'm just going to add a little. I'm going to take it off camera because it's like, maybe I'll give it a shot. That's how I do stars. It's like that. Some people use a toothbrush, other people use the edge of a credit card, but based on how close I have the brush to my face, that can control the size of the dots because of how strong the air is. And I can usually have a better spread. It's a little bit like a denser star field. Oh, thanks, Tim. I hope you're doing okay. Hope you're safe and healthy and everybody's doing all right on your end. Let me just grab my old Presto. I actually don't want to overdo it on this one, so I think that's have the little glimmer on his helmet, and I think we'll call this one done. We'll get on to the next one. First one done. All right. Kate Bishop. I still need reference because it's a newer character. I'm an old man, and I know the older characters. Like if you ask for anything Bronze Age, I'm good. I'm in. Jason, as far as commissions go, I am doing commissions, but I'm behind on my stuff. So, I'm hoping to get done with all this stuff for this comic probably the next week and then jump back on commissions. And, you're welcome to hop on the list, but it's going to take me a little while to get to it. And I'm going to be reposting the list on Monday with everybody's status so far. Is it the Jim Chung version? Oh, that's right. It was from Young Avengers. Oh, that's cool. It's got like black hair and purple glasses. Oh, it was good to see you, Kevin. Thank you for the kind words, and send me that Ken Lashley sketch if you get a chance, or post it. I definitely want to check it out. I'm not sure if Kate Bishop is a good tone sketch, but let's give it a shot. This is like a tone brown paper, and I don't know. I just think it would be cool. I'll give it a shot. Let me see if there's a better just picture Kate Bishop. Jim Chung does just such great stuff. Long black hair, glasses, bow and arrow. Got it. I'm not going to do that pose. I just need the reference for the... I like her hair. I read some of the Fraction Hawkeye stuff. That was cool. David Aja. Will do, Kevin. I don't want to speak too soon, but if this is my list for the night, we might actually make it through the whole list. That would be amazing. While I enjoy doing these sketches for people, I would like for us to all be healthy and safe and working. I'll keep doing them because, the crazy support, and people have sponsored the shipping. Like, people have made donations to hospitals. Like, it's been pretty crazy. Sunglasses are a thing that I almost always have to look up reference for, just because like the fake sunglasses in my brain, the ones that I've seen in cartoons are like the ones that the cheesy undercover agents wore in the 1960s. They're not actually what sunglasses look like. They're a cipher of what my brain tells me they look like, and it's like this amalgamation of all these cliche, horrible sunglasses from way outdated comics from back in the day. Oh, thanks, man. I'm not one of those people that has an image like pictured in their head. Some people are literally like tracing just an image out of their head, and those people are just like, they're extraordinarily gifted. I have to like piece together the geometry and try not to screw it up. I've had to learn, on the job. Like, I had some skill, but I honestly wasn't a naturally super gifted artist when I first started drawing. I was pretty average, but I was just one of those folks that was obsessed with it and just kept doing it and doing it and doing it. And I've learned how to do a lot of stuff over time. And I've been taught how to do a lot of stuff by some really great teachers. Like that long hair. Very, very cool. She's younger, so I don't want to draw her looking like... I tend to draw some older their faces on characters. I guess it's because I'm getting older. One thing that'll be cool about this tone paper is if I threw like a splash of purple on it, I think it would create a really cool look. To the musicians whose live feeds I share have been giving half their proceeds to hospitals. See, that's really cool. And I keep hearing really, really good stories, about folks doing stuff like that. So I appreciate that. Someone did share, and I don't know if there's any proceeds going, but I am going to try to watch it. Danny Boyle's stage production of Frankenstein with Benedict Cumberbatch is going to be broadcast live on YouTube, I believe on the 1st. I've enjoyed a fair number of Danny Boyle's movies. And what did I watch that was a live broadcast? I watched Tom Hiddleston do Coriolanus, the Shakespeare play, and that was tremendous. That was one of those Fathom live events at the theater, movie theater, which I hope the movie theaters come back okay. Because I do love going to movie theaters. This is a line right here that I've been doing lately. Academy Rewind. Yeah, it was a great show. I enjoyed it a lot. And Coriolanus is probably my favorite Shakespeare play, that or the sonnets. Like, for people who don't know, I graduated with a degree in both English and in art, and I did my senior thesis on the sonnets. Not very exciting, I know, not very useful in the real world or during a pandemic, but I do enjoy pretty words. I heard AMC is going to struggle too. I mean, the one thing that I did read, I did see some articles circulating around that drive-ins might be making a comeback. I know that there's a drive-in in Mendon, Mass, that I've been meaning to get to, and maybe this is the summer. Try to not make her look like the Baroness. Which sonnet? Oof. I'd have to. That would take time. There's so many good ones. However, if you're interested in hearing the sonnets, I know that Sir Patrick Stewart has been reading them on Twitter, which is awesome. I think some of this hair, because it's like concentric arcs, I think I'm going to be able to do it mostly in ink, so I won't have to spend a ton of time penciling, but maybe I've spoken too soon. I'll try to get the shapes right. Oh, and creative writing, very cool. I've always advocated that drawing and writing are both just, I look at them as being siblings in different ways to communicate. Like, why else would they require visual aids for so many papers? You know, because it just expands on your ability to convey an idea, whether it's, you know, science with charts and tables and graphs and all that stuff, or you know, in research papers where you're required to have, you know, appendices that have maps or any other visual aids that might help. I think this is my second character in a row that has sort of a turtleneck going on, which my creator and character Helena has sort of a turtlenecky thing. It's just a cool visual, and it's a way to add depth. You know, when you're adding depth, like if you're looking at the face, there's all the different planes on the face that people can relate to and know what they mean. And then when you add the geometry of like folds in clothing and stuff like that, it adds a different layer of depth. And when you get to add, like, you can actually see the lines going behind where the edge of her neck is, and that will add a great deal of depth even to just a little portrait. Like, and that's stuff that when I was first starting out, I never thought about. You know, I would always get lost in just trying to get the anatomy not completely wrong, and I still do that to a certain extent. But I would say that I've gotten better at it to where I think she has cool gloves. Doesn't she have cool gloves? Yeah, she has cool gloves. That'll be kind of what I do with my Green Arrow pieces. See, the beauty of this shape, this tall, skinny shape of the paper, is that I can kind of cop out on some of the limbs and stuff. Or if I just have kind of a hand floating there with the arm going off the screen, it's like, oh, it might work. He totally would have drawn that arm right. I probably wouldn't have. So I get to take credit for not messing it up. It will be Kate Bishop. Um, she has kind of a similar look to that. I'm just not as good of an artist as like some of the folks that have drawn Kate Bishop over the years. And she's got the. See, that's why I needed the reference for her glasses, because I knew she had like really specific glasses. I did not know that, Desiree. Do you buy into the theory that Bill did not write Coriolanus by himself? That it was co-written by God, what's his name? It's been so long. I'd have to Google it. Brain is mushy and old. See if we can get sort of like a target. I know it's cheesy, but It's an easy graphic. It's one of those, it was just one of those fun little anecdotes or what ifs that always came up in class. And it's, the secret history of, I just always loved that play. It had some character arcs in it that are uncommon in contemporary fiction, and I just really like it. Always have. Hello, Dr. _Smiles. How are you? How are things over on Twitch? Is it coming through okay? I should probably, I'm not going to be able to check this because the paper's too thick, so I'm doing all right. Doing all right. You'll have to forgive me, my hands are not super steady. I've moved around quite a bit in my life, Dr. Smiles. So it's tough to say. Bionic 6. This paper's actually a little more forgiving than I thought it would be as far as ink goes. I was a little worried. It's like the theory that Bill was not one person, never existed. I don't know. I don't think we want to go down the conspiracy theory road in this climate. Actually, this paper's not bad for the inks, gotta say. Sometimes these tone papers can just be a nightmare to ink on because it'll get smudgy or it won't dry or whatever, but it seems to be working all right. Hi, Erica. Nice to meet you. Um, Thank you for the kind words. Welcome to Sketch Relief Part 3, the third one. The search for Spock. I don't know. That's good to hear, Ashley. Thank you. That's what I was hoping for. Because anytime I've seen her in a book, she's had her, she's had that confidence to her. Got to get the hair right because that's whenever I think of her, I know you're supposed to think of like all the character moments and everything else, but visually, her suit is like a cool, sleek design, but I tend to think of like graphic suits as being the more graphically inclined suits, like old-fashioned designs where they're brighter colors. She's got like a cool stealth suit. That's the word I was looking for. Good job, brain. Right. Hopefully I have a ruler here somewhere. Well, Erica, if you would like a sketch, I'd be happy to do one for you. And you're a 911 dispatcher, so you're out there, you're right on the front doing this stuff during this pandemic. So if there's a character that you'd like a sketch of, just let me know and I'll add you to the list. I gotta work on that handle a little bit, just because I kind of chunked it out rather than actually drawing a hand. What I'm doing right here is instead of going straight into drawing the line, I need to like make a little dot because I didn't grid it out. Normally I would do a grid. 1, 2, half. That way the triangle looks straight. It's very easy to tell when a simple geometric shape is drawn wrong because you can just see it. So I can at least draw a semi-proper triangle. Hopefully. It's okay if people don't want to be too chatty. I can understand if you just want to hang out. You're being very, very kind. If you know folks that are working on the front lines, I'm happy to do sketches for them. It's just how I'm trying to help. Really don't want it to be about me. So. Wonder Woman or Harley Quinn, whichever one you would like. The only one of those two that I've drawn a published character of, if that matters, is Harley Quinn. She was on the Batman cover that I did. My favorite jelly bean? Oh my goodness, that I could talk about for hours. No, I'm kidding. I like citrus flavors, and I'm part of that small group of Americans or people in the world that actually really likes the licorice jelly beans. Bean Boozled? I don't know. I always like in those Jelly Belly ones. I like those. Those are good. Used to be a candy shop near where I lived where you could they had all the different flavors in separate bins, so you could scoop the flavors just the flavors that you wanted. It was the same price per pound. Weird artistic moves. Okay, Harley Quinn it is. I'll get you on the list. Two N's, right? Is it one N? I don't know. I know, sad for a guy that has an English degree. Nurse Harley for your mom. Sure, if that's what she would like, I'd be happy to. Nurses are always welcome. Of course, they're saving people's lives and Ruben Gallegos. Berry cherry, nice, nice. I mean, I like a lot of old man candy. It's just true. Like I like Chuckles. I like Skybar, which unfortunately is not being made since Necco went out of business. But I'm one of those crazy people that bought a bunch and put them in the freezer. So I've got like, actually, it was my mother-in-law that bought me like I don't know, like a case of bars when they went out of business. I'm liking this tone paper. It's a lot of fun. I did not get my my annual Cadbury. I usually eat one Cadbury egg a year, but when I was at the grocery store, which was weirder this time than even last time. They had no regular Cadbury eggs. They only had the mini ones that my wife likes, which you have a bag of those. And I just felt bad for some of the store workers. Necco wafers, yes. Because people were distancing amongst the other shoppers, but they were definitely not giving the store workers the same courtesy. Unfortunately, as you can see, the using the regular brush instead of those brush pens takes longer. Where am I from? Second person to ask me that this evening. Well, I'll have to unfortunately qualify it. What do you consider where a person is from? Is it where they've lived the longest? Is it where they were born? Is it where they went to high school? Because that's unfortunately how some people consider it, because those are like your formative years. Like what qualifies as your where you're from? Or is it where your heart is? Because for me, each of those is a different answer. And that's why it's sometimes hard to say where I'm from. Because right now I live in Massachusetts. But, I went to high school in Ohio. I was born in Connecticut, moved around a lot. Not a lot, I would say, not like an army brat or nothing, but, moved a few times. For a period of time, I had spent most of my life on Nantucket, but then that changed, and see, and I would have no idea how to answer that. Glad I have the fine folks here to help guide me through. One of the things I will be ordering when I place my curbside pickup order from my local art supply is more brush pens, just because they make these sketch sessions go a little quicker. I don't have to keep going back to the well. Yeah. My father was not in the Navy. He was a traveling furniture salesman, which, during the pandemic, he's not traveling, but that's still what he does to this day. He sells furniture. He's a wholesaler. Always need more googly eyes. I actually have a fair amount left in my supply. Got one little bag of googly eyes left. I've been so focused on that comic, I have failed in my googly eye duties. I'll fix that this week. I'm just using a larger brush for the fill. Yeah, this is a. I am dressed probably like many people during these times. I am wearing, a normal pair of slacks, but got the Bruins sweatshirt on, got my slippers on. You definitely moved around California, Hawaii, Seattle, Washington. Wow. Guam. Wow. Been here in North Carolina. My one comic show that I was going to be at in Charlotte just canceled for the year for Heroes. But I should be there, as long as things get better the way we all want it to, is I should be there next year. Because I'd heard they're just rolling everybody over to next year, which, that's very cool. I have googly eyes on my lamps, my desk lamps. I have googly eyes on my scissors, my ink. There's not a shortage of googly eyes in my office, but that doesn't mean they can't make their way out of my office. We'll see how long my wife handles that. Put some googly eyes on the toothpaste. Likewise, yeah. Well, my father, with his traveling furniture salesman stuff, the biggest furniture market in the country is in High Point. So he always went to High Point every year. Furniture market obviously got canceled during this, but that was like one of his big trips every year was down to High Point. And one of the good things about using a brush, if people don't ink with a brush, is just the line thickness control and the speed that you can control that line thickness. As things come closer to the viewer, you can get a thicker line, or to create weight, you can put a thicker line on the underside of things, like that. Don't put them on the cat. Yeah, that would be weird. He finally discovered he could sleep on my rolled up blanket over on the couch there, and that's where he's been most of the evening. That's why you can't hear him snoring on this broadcast. I've only driven through North Carolina, and I think I've had a couple of layovers, but that doesn't really count, I don't think. I think these are the biggest ones, though, so we would have to just cover the entire blanket with googly eyes, like hundreds of them, and that would be terrifying. Terrifying, but worth it. It might be. Like I said, I got this one gig to do, and when that dries up, I'm sure they'll hand me my papers like they have everybody else, and then I'll have time to googly eye the blanket. So I don't have any circle templates that I think are big enough for this, so what we'll have to do is just kind of eyeball it and hope for the best. I might have one, like a, no, it's not going to be big enough. Giant googly eyes. This roll of tape is big enough. Almost. I had a candle here that I used. Let's see if this works. I think that'll work. Be able to actually have a real circle. I think we might throw a little bit of just a splash of purple on this one for fun. Especially since you said you like the Michael Cho cover. Get some smudging. See, that's what happens sometimes with this tone paper. It takes a long time for it to dry. I'll just turn the smudges into more hair. It'll take a little bit. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.5. So 2.5, 2 3/4. And that's about the middle. Whenever you do geometric shapes, you can't really ballpark them. Otherwise, they tend to look really goofy. All right. Let's see if I can just fudge in some extra hair here. Because of that smudge. Thanks, Jason. I know it's a cliche, I know it's, but I think it's fun. And comics are fun, so. Grab some water. See if I can pull this down. I know Mr. Chung does not put a ton of detail on like the faces sometimes, depending on the lighting. And this is pretty generic lighting, so try not to overdo it. I think I warned everybody that the brushing in the ink takes a little longer than just doing those brush pens, so just bear with me. Now I'm going to be even longer with this because I kind of want to see what purple looks like on this. This is just a really inexpensive Koi watercolor travel kit. It's mostly for just adding color to sketches, and it's not very good at doing big washes, but I kind of just want to see how it looks. I guess that's the price of the free sketches. You have to put up with my noodling and experimenting. See how that purple looks. It's pretty good. I might have to do a color piece on this paper, just like full color and use the mid-tone of the paper just to see how it looks. I was thinking about doing a Swamp Thing piece because it's, it's Earth Day. I don't know if you can see the difference on camera, but there is, like, the purple is different than the ink wash. A little purple on the sunglasses. I'm not sure how archival these little koi watercolor sets are, so I don't know how well it'll last in the sun. I usually use like Grumbacher. I've got a pretty nice set of watercolors. I actually had to replace my watercolors one year after coming home from a convention because they pulled them out of my bag at an airport. All right. Welcome back, Jerry. I think I lost the brush I was using. I guess that's what happens. I think I must have dropped it. Oh, found it. Yep. Yeah, I mean, if she looks too barren to see, it's because I probably drew her looking a little older than she is in the comic. I don't know. I have a tendency to draw people looking older these days. I guess it's because I'm in my 30s. It is Kate Bishop. Trying to decide if I should add the white in the background, but I kind of want to leave it the way it is. Maybe if I noodle with it later, but for the sake of the live stream, we'll keep it moving. I'm moving pretty slow, so. All right, we got Nightwing next. And let's do another one of these. It was fun. You're very welcome, Ashley. It's my pleasure. You know, thank you, friend, for taking care of the folks at the home. Hey, Wally. Doing all right. We're healthy, but we're hanging in there. I hope you're doing okay and feeling better. Hope the baby's good. I was praising that as some really good news that I enjoyed reading about the other day. We're definitely going disco suit Nightwing. Let's see. There's a nice George Perez. As you can see, I'm not too good with my phone, but I do what I can. Wow, look at that one. Yeah, is it Jim Aparo drawing the bigger lapels than even Perez? Wow. I did like his name. There was discussion of if we ever had a child that could have been their name at one time. I'd have to draw the head a little smaller so we can get the lapels in there. Hey, well, I totally agree. Jerry, if it's, yeah, I guess if it's good news announcement, I've never had the platform used for an announcement, but if it's good news, you know, I guess we could see if we can take that step. news good news. Gotta have the low cut V. Then by all means, Jerry, that sounds like a very nice resource for people if there's a new program. I really don't know anything about the industry. I cautiously optimistic. So you have a whole sketchbook of Disco Nightmare. Well, you're gonna have to start posting some of those sketches. I mean, I think that's only fair. Yeah, I mean, if you can help people get cheaper rates on stuff they're already buying, that sounds like a good thing. Yeah, my old man's on Lipitor and a couple other drugs for his heart condition. Make his hair a little bit, give it a little more bounce to it. Disco Night. Rockin' Robin sounds great. I've long wanted to do a theme sketchbook to take around to artists and have a theme to it. It would probably be Aquaman, but people like Kevin, who pops in and out of the thread, he has like every Aquaman artist ever in multiple volumes of sketchbooks, and it's like, oh, never make it there. I also thought about doing just a create your own sketchbook where people can draw their characters. Because I know a lot of folks usually get asked to draw, whether they worked on Spider-Man or Batman or, Ninja Turtles or whatever. They get asked to draw that stuff more often. And they might enjoy, doing their own stuff. I don't know. You're a seamstress. Are you perhaps making comic themed masks? Because I've been on the lookout for that. I haven't been able to find this hair is not too far from my own at the moment. Hair's getting a little long. You are indeed. Well, I may need to commission one for myself if that's what you're making. If you're making comic themed masks. gotta be honest, I haven't read a ton of Nightwing comics. Like I've read, some Teen Titans in my day, and a little bit of the Chuck Dixon, Scott McDaniel run. But honestly, like after that, I haven't read much. Is there good stuff after that? Some good creators work on it. See, I thought these were like tassels, aren't they? Are these like gold tassels? Nightwing Year One. Haven't read that one. I would check that out. Sure. I liked the Batgirl Year One, and obviously the Mazzucchelli Batman Year One. David Mazzucchelli, arguably, one of the best of his generation. All right, I'll definitely message you. Probably tomorrow, because after this, I'm probably gonna throw on a movie, have an adult beverage of some kind, and I have to work through the weekend. Spend a little time with the missus. Jeremiah Allen. Still taking requests, because we've got a different crowd here on Friday. Oh, you're very welcome, Joe. I'll have it in the mail next, probably Sunday. Probably drop it off in the post office box, maybe Monday at the latest. But you're not too far away, so you'll have it next week. The Gargoyles one, not the Marvel Comics one. I watched that show some when I was younger. I haven't seen it in years. I'm guessing it's one of those shows that got a resurgence on like Disney Plus or one of those streaming networks. Somebody did post. Was it you, Jerry, that posted that you just got someone in a sketch group just posted that they just got a Nightwing from George Perez. He's apparently doing his convention style sketches from home, like a limited number of them. I've been to a few shows where Mr. Perez was at, but I was never able to get a sketch from him. His list was always full by the time I got there, or I'd have to be in line for a very long time, and it just never worked out. I did get a few books signed by him because he'll sign books in between sketches. Oh, good. I'm not crazy. You saw it as well. Fix the mask. Let's have our light source sort of like at 3/4 above, like it's gonna make his hair look three-dimensional. And then cast a shadow there. Cast shadow. Oh, you have a Disco Perez Nightwing. Very nice. For Mr. Perez, it would be tough to pick a character. He's done so many great ones. You know, he's had so many great runs on like every book ever. So probably Adam Warlock for me, actually, just because of the Infinity Gauntlet stuff. And I know he didn't do the whole run, but I always liked that character. It did make sense to me that he went to Blue. Yeah, Mr. Perez always very nice at shows. Always seems genuinely appreciative of readers and fans and creators that go up and babble like idiots like myself. You remember that one time you drew the Inhumans, and that was awesome. There's a handful of creators where I babbled like an idiot in front of. I know you're a big Thanos fan. I think you have a Perez sketch, don't you, Jonathan? It was even worse when I was younger, when I was a kid. Like, was it Mid Ohio Con? I was 15, 14, somewhere in there, and that's the formative comic reading years, and uh, John Byrne was like the guest of honor. I was like, remember when he drew X-Men? It was awesome. Could you sign my comic book, please? Oh, you have two sketches. Look at you. Woo, woo, woo. At some point when we can do a law permitted social distancing backyard drinking hangout, you can like hold up your Perez sketch from across the yard. I can just yell, "That's amazing!" I think, I saw the Avengers Jam one not that long ago. There have been a few pages actually from his time at God, what was the company? Malibu. He was at Malibu, and he was at, was it Gorilla Comics? It was the one that he did finished Crimson Plague at. Barry Kitson did Empire. I forget what Todd was doing there. Todd DeZago was part of that crew. Carl Kiesel. But George did a couple of books at that time for those companies, and a few of his pages have come up for sale on like Anthony's and Comic Art Fans, and they're not that expensive. And at that time, if you don't know, like inkers were not inking blue lines very often. It was a very rare thing, or over, if they did it on vellum. So those pages, for 70, 80, 100, anywhere up to a couple $100. I mean, those are on top of the original Perez pencils, so that's kind of what I've been eyeing. I'm hoping to get one of the less expensive Colin pages, the Gene Colan pages that are floating around out there. Where did I say the light source was? Here. Messed up that cast shadow, but I'll try to fix it. Yeah, Jason, the Justice League Avengers book was very cool. That was right after he did the Kurt Busiek run on Avengers, which was very cool. Yeah, there's a few folks over the years that I regret not getting a sketch from. I think I regret not getting a sketch from Jerry Robinson when I met the first time I met him in the '90s. Some of the Golden Age creators that are unfortunately no longer with us. Did get a few though, like Marty Nodell. He was the creator of Green Lantern, the Alan Scott Golden Age original one. I used to see him at shows all the time. And, there was one time I sat next to him at a show, and he and his son were there. And I bought a Green Lantern little sketch just on a like a postcard from him. I agree, Jonathan. I've been talking to. I was asking Craig, like, when do you think we can do that? And it's like just get a beer in a backyard, can yell at each other from across the way. It can be 20 feet away in one of our backyards because we don't live, downtown or in a city. That's 10 o'clock. So what I'm going to say is that when we finish this one, this will be my last one for the evening. I will finish the remainder of the list, which isn't too bad. I might be able to even get finished that this weekend. It was weird. Like one of my neighbors had like a party not that long ago. And it was just weird. Lots of people over. I think I did a better job of making Mr. Grayson look younger in this, which I failed to do on the Kate Bishop. Looks like a Teen Titan here. It's got to have the flow. It has to have waves and movement and volume. It's all about the hair. It's like my one thing of vanity, and it's driving me nuts that I can't get my hair cut a little bit, but have to have the coif, the power coif. Got light sources here, so I'm thinking if we have some spotlights behind him, I think it'll be nice. It'll look real nice. I am curious what kind of hair product he uses. Do you think he uses a molding paste? Is he wax? I mean, what is he using to keep his hair coiffed? Is it a mousse? Is it just a blow drying situation, or is it just perfectly natural? Oh, no problem, man. Broker. These are the deep questions that we're seeking answers to. What type of hair product does Dick Grayson as Nightwing? I mean, now we're going to go down the path of like, I mean, clearly Bruce Wayne uses hair product as well. Is Alfred also the hairstylist? Aquanet, yeah. If we're going to ask him about hair, we're going to have to ask him about the Scarlet Witch hair. Alfred can do anything. That must be it. That must be it. He must be the Wayne Manor hairstylist. All right, so we're tracking this backwards. So that means that Grayson also got his hair styling from Alfred. So does Alfred go to the Titan's Tower, or does Nightwing have to come to Wayne Manor? These are important questions. Because during the Burn Run, they solved the Superman hair situation by he uses like his heat vision to cut his hair and shave. This could almost be like his profile picture in like a Teen Beat magazine. Yep, yeah, that was the Superman one. Now I've seen people complain about it, but when I was a kid, I actually thought that was kind of cool. You know, so that answers a question I didn't even know I needed to ask. I mean, I could see the Alfred from the animated series doing it because they showed him doing like house stuff. Like they showed him doing like butlery type stuff that wasn't just like, you know, his duties to Batman. as my wife calls them, government issue sideburns. Since the light is here, we're actually going to get a little bit of cast shadow over here. And the rest will be over here. I gotta be honest, I've actually never really, I only made it through like an episode and a half of Gotham, which I was disappointed by because I do enjoy Donald Logue as an actor and some of the other actors on the show. I just couldn't get into the show. I've gotten to meet some of the folks that are in it, and they're all, been very nice. I liked the Gotham Central book that was just about Jim Gordon. Michael Lark did the artwork, and I think that was another. I think there was some Ed Brubaker work in there, but I think that was God, what was that gentleman's name? I think I said his name earlier. So you can tell I'm getting tired. That and my line thicknesses are shot. Chuck Dixon. I think he wrote some of that Gotham Central stuff. It was good. I like some of that stuff that's sort of tangential, superhero stuff. Like I always liked Damage Control. I always thought that would be the best first like TV superhero comedy. Never got to meet Dwayne McDuffie. I did get to work with Ernie Colon on one thing. It was actually, he did a piece for my creator-owned book, which has not been published. Hey Eli, just knocked off work. Working on something good, working on your book or kid duty, 10:25, putting the kiddos to bed. Yeah, I'd hoped we'd gotten together by now too. Oh, thanks, Shane. I don't think yellow will work on this paper, so what I'm going to do is probably just give it kind of like how we did with the Kate Bishop, just like a splash of blue. I don't know. We can try the yellow, see how it looks, but not sure how it's going to come out with this paper. Yeah, man. I'll catch you later, Eli, if you're heading out. Thanks for popping in, saying hello. Always good to hear from you. People that don't know on the thread, Mr. Stone is a accomplished artist in his own right. He was an artist on the Tick as well. I read his stuff when I was a youngin' and absolutely loved it. So it's been a delight to get to know Mr. Stone remotely. We were trying to get together to do a jam, kind of like the one Jay and I did, probably with less profanity. Um, more profanity. I had to put it on. There was so much profanity on that I had to put it over on YouTube. I had to take it off of Facebook. If we'll do a late night drink and draw, and maybe we'll just have it on YouTube or something. Eli's an upstanding citizen with youngins, say, you know. Desiree, have you ever met Eli in person? Maybe you saw him at San Diego one year. This is all blue, so I think what we'll do is we'll keep the blue there. Oh, okay. Yeah, I see. I haven't even met him in person. We've only communicated digitally. Hey, good to talk to you, Jason. I'll let you know on the commission list. Thanks for hanging out and all the kind words, and I hope you have a very good night. I'll see you around. Ah, it's not weird at all. I always like telling the story of Ramona Fradon telling me what she liked best about when she first got the gig on Aquaman was that he was just so handsome. If I got the Aquaman gig, I'd probably say the same thing. Ramona is awesome. So if there is a show anywhere near driving distance for you to meet her at, I highly recommend it. Super cool lady. She's got a couple of talks on YouTube where she goes into her career stuff, which is just super cool. But she's awesome and she still draws awesome stuff. I forget the name of the company that reps her sketches. Is it Catskill Comics? I don't know. I'm sure if you just Googled her commissions, but she is awesome. She does great stuff still. I have a tiny little Aquaman sketch she did for me. If I ever get to see her again, I would probably have to get like since she's the co-creator of Aqualad, probably have to get an Aqualad. Catskills, yeah. Yeah, they rep her. They rep, I think, Ron Friends, a few other folks. And she's still cranking them out. I see new commissions by her come up on Comic Art Fans all the time. Still doing great stuff. She actually did a pinup for Jeff McClellan's creator-owned book of the Black Terror, and she rarely does stuff for publication anymore, but she did it and it was awesome. And she did a piece in the Wonder Woman anniversary book, which was amazing. I forget, was it Andrew Pepoy that inked it? I don't remember. The Aquaman film. I mean, we could dedicate an entire evening stream of discussing the film. I enjoyed it. I had fun. I do look at it as like, I don't know if you remember how we all felt about like the first wave of superhero movies when they came out, like the first Spider-Man, the first even like Fantastic Four and those movies. Like we all went and saw them because we weren't spoiled with the riches we have today. And while I enjoyed it, I do think that it's a movie that in a few years we're going to be like, you know. But I got to live long enough to see Aquaman be the number one grossed superhero movie of all time. The fact that I'm around to see a live action Aquaman movie is something I'm very happy for. You got to see the X-Men, it's pretty cool from where we came from as far as superhero movies go. Because I definitely grew up watching Nick at Night with my mother and watching the Superman TV show, the George Reeves one, and Linda Carter's Wonder Woman, the best, and the Adam West Batman. Someday, I hope so. But I hope it's down the road. We don't need that rushed. I think that's what really killed the most recent one. They hadn't developed Jean as a character we cared about. I thought she was a good actress. But I mean, it's the fact that we've been reading Jean Grey stories for like 125 issues before any of that stuff happened. Justice League cartoon was great. Yeah. Justice League Unlimited. I'm not as picky as a lot of people, as I've come to find out. There's some stuff I don't enjoy, but if I take the time to watch it, I can buy into a lot of stuff. Oh, the Muppets, yes. The Muppets are required viewing, and I was actually sad that the new Muppet show didn't get renewed because I was enjoying it quite a bit. Yeah, maybe. A little slow. He's looking, he's looking off to the right there. I can tell the difference between right and left. You put your hand up and it makes an L. That's your left. We should probably get some like colored pencils. I think that would look cool, instead of just the watercolor. He's a superhero with a secret identity. Wonder Woman with Linda Carter. I think Nick at Night was Saturdays where I was, but I don't remember entirely. I wholly admit it's been a number of years for me. lid on this. I think that'll do it for tonight. Gotta have the golden light. Well, I'd like to thank everybody for coming by this evening. I will finish off. Let's see, what do we have left? We got 1, 2, 3, 3 done. We have a Toothless, Pickle Rick, Harley Quinn, Nurse Harley, a Donatello, and a Goliath from Gargoyle. I will finish them. But there's the 3 we did. It takes a little longer with the brush, like I said. Thanks for your patience, and stay safe, everyone. Hope you all have a lovely evening, and hopefully we'll be back on Wednesday. Have a good night.